the audience doesn't know about those struggles and stuff. So don't be too fearful in that process with clients and stuff, and they're making changes and it's not your baby anymore.
But you guys didn't do that at all, and then it felt like if you include them as like a member of just the team, then they're so willing to do anything. You know what I mean?
I like the spontaneity of figuring things out there, because even though I did all of the prep and we did location scout, the light was actually completely different because we went late in the day.
Hi, I'm Mark.
And I'm Jaco.
I'm Kaylin.
And welcome back to Department Spotlight. It's the show where we talk to our friends and colleagues about their experiences in the film industry, making films, and also in the advertisement industry. Hint, hint. Because in this episode, we're talking about our experiences making adverts, working for clients, actually making them from idea to post, all that good stuff.
To feedback.
So let's get into it.
So we recently, well, actually throughout the year, we've been working on a lot of cool projects, I would say. A lot of big brands. And we just finished our first series of TV commercials, which is pretty exciting, you know. I don't know if we can say.
Yeah, we're not going to mention specifics.
Yeah.
Well, I think we can say the brand, just not what we're doing, can we?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because it's not out yet.
It's a big brand. We're not just saying that.
But we can still talk about the process, what we learned, advice, all that stuff.
Let's just say it's one of the biggest brands of its kind in the industry,
Ooh. Yes, exactly. So yeah, we're going to talk about also we got to work with some pretty famous South African people.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So Kaylin directed the first two of the ads that we did. So tell us, Kaylin, let's start at writing. I know we all wrote the first couple together. Mm-hmm. How was your experience?
Well, just in terms of just the writing part of it, it was quite a process to get to the beginning part of it. Because the ideas I pitched in the beginning was not the ideas that we had in the end, which I think is something that happens with a lot of things with film and all that. So
true, but I mean, we came up with 10 ideas.
So yeah, it was a random Tuesday or something, and then the big client, they were just we need, I think it was 10 ideas by 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock today. And then I called you guys, and then I was like, Jaco, Mark, let's get on this. And then you guys had to rush. I don't know what your guys' process was when you were at home. But
yeah, I think Mark was just here. We were doing something else. Yeah. And then Kaylin just sends a voice. Oh no, you called.
Yeah.
You're we need ideas by tomorrow.
It's a big brand.
It was 6 o'clock that night.
2 hours. Yeah.
And then you guys sent me a bunch of voice notes because there wasn't really time to type the stuff out. I wrote down the voice notes, sent it through to the client, and then I think it was your two guys, the stuff that was kind of funny and had a lot of puns in it, which was you guys, humor in general, they loved, and the stuff that I think I wrote a bit too formally, they were let's rework these ones, but they were we really like where you guys are coming from, we like you guys, your take.
And then I don't think any of those really...
Yeah, they only used the one.
No.
It was only the one.
It's only the one.
It's just the one, yeah.
But I suppose there was that also kind of...
Which was the one that was, who can be not too detail oriented, but which one was the one that stuck to
it? It was the one where
the exercise one.
What? The one that it was the one that we did was the first one that we did. Yeah. Is the only one that we was from the first 10 ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean we pitched 10 and then only one actually stuck through and then the rest were reworked, rechanged. Yeah, so then it was this whole thing where the brand had a new manager come in and he also wanted to really show bring a fresh take into things, and then he looked at us. We have a mutual partner that also kind of introduced us. And then he brought us on board and he was okay, pitch us some ideas. We pitched him, and then we said, we stuck to that one idea.
Yeah, out of the 10 that we...
Out of the 10, they said, okay, can you rework these ones? They sent us a whole Excel sheet with notes and things like that, and then we sat with it. We implemented it, they obviously put their, the things that needs to happen into the commercial. And it's stuff that you like really have to, I mean, like stuff you really have to like, I think do research into, make sure like when you're working with a brand to like, remember with you have to figure out how to make certain devices and stuff work with the thing they're showing, you know?
The
So
product.
like, I think a lot of research was important. I think watching their commercials also helped a lot.
Yeah.
And seeing their flavor and style. And then also think it was hard for us to like try and, okay, but that's what they shot, but what can we put our own spin on it and stuff, you know?
Yeah, I think it's that thing where it's the first time that you're working with a new brand. Well, with the brand, and then you need to figure out what their style is. Because I think we said this in a previous podcast, like the client knows what they want for their brand better than what we know. So it was sort of very like nervous because it is a big brand and it's like the first big thing that we're doing. It's very sort of nerve-wracking. And you're like trying to be very formal and trying to be very I'll do what you need to do.
Yeah, I think especially when you hear the names that we had to work with, like it's like the SA big hitters, and I think that's also what made me like super nervous. The day before shoot, I was just like, this is gonna be super scary, and I think it was just sourcing the right team and all of that was pretty intense, you know.
And it was a small crew, a small team.
We don't know about their brand, but they're getting us to come up with ideas and be like the filmmaking side of it, and I think it's a good thing to not be precious about those ideas and just be able to come up with as many of them as possible. And I think that's what helped us with also making a lot of like short films and like making YouTube videos and all this stuff, is this like ability to just like generate ideas. And also we had to recently, me and you had to come up with ideas to pitch for another thing, and that was also a similar thing of like, okay, we need this many ideas by this date. And it's like, you can't sit there and be like, oh, I come up with my best ideas when I'm farting around doing X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, this is a job. You wouldn't, it's this weird thing where people don't think that filmmaking or being creative isn't the same as any other job. Like you can't just imagine going to like your desk job or something and being like, your boss tells you to do something and you're like, oh no, sorry, I only have my best ideas when I'm, off doing X, Y, and Z or staring into the abyss or something. It's like, none of that. Just you come up with ideas now. You just say things until it's good.
Yeah.
Like you just have to keep on doing it, and you have to be surrounded by people who are like, I know we were pitching stuff in that session, and another person would be like, no, that's not good. Or like someone would say something and be like, yeah, that's okay. Oh, let's look at that. And then we like riffed and made each other laugh.
Yeah.
And then some of those things worked and some of those didn't. Like you have to have that environment where you're like working on it and it's not mysterious. You know what I mean? It's like,
I think I completely agree with you with that. Like I think when they said that whole thing of like you need to come up with ideas, I couldn't just be like, for this big brand, oh no, we can't do this. Like not even consult you guys and just be like, 4 hours is not enough to come up with this amount of ideas. I think for us, like we try to see it as that challenge. I think we rise to it. It's gonna be like, it was so stressful. I got sick from it, and even when we were writing the concepts and stuff like that, like it's such a hard challenge, and I think it's sometimes really important to have people around to bounce those ideas off. I think that's why so many of these big shows have these massive writing rooms, so someone can tell you this is nonsense, this is good. But I think it was awesome. I thought it was awesome, that whole challenge, rise to the challenge and try and meet that and see if you could do it.
And obviously I think also like we were in a sort of writer's room situation there. Mark was here and I was there, Kellen was over there, and we were like coming up with it together. I think if it's just one person with all the pressure, it's like too much pressure to actually perform.
Yeah, and then you don't even actually put anything down on paper because you're so scared.
Yeah, exactly. So it's cool, like what you said as well. Like, don't be afraid if somebody says no, it's not good enough or whatever, because it's team. It's like easy to like just come up. Like all the pressure isn't just on one person.
Yeah. And I think even if you're like by yourself and you don't really know anyone, I think just try and find someone, like I'm sure that you must know someone you can just asking if these are good ideas or not,
And also like we were learning like we said, learning the brand, right? How did you feel when we got the location? Because we went location scouting, we decided what gear we were going to use, and then we got on the set for this first one. We didn't know if there was going to be more. right?
Yeah.
We hoped. I think you pitched a couple more ideas
Yeah.
for the other episodes, but we didn't know.
Yeah.
It was like, will it, won't it?
The middleman, the like agent in between, actually told us. You're like, if this doesn't come through, can kiss this brand goodbye. I mean, they even said to you, like, after we're done shooting, Jaco, if you don't edit this well, this is the last, it's done and dusted. This is it. I mean, the pressure to put on someone to say stuff like that, I think that was like so intense about it. But I think like at the end, it really makes you proud when you like, you stuck through it and you say, okay, it's hardcore, but let's just keep pushing and stuff. Yeah, even on set I was stressing so much because the product was like so new and stuff like that like it was hard to like navigate and it built onto the pressure of the day. But I think when you have people around you, it just helps you out and stuff. It was cool, and then you just learn from that and you go forward. And I think everyone's gonna have some struggles first time around. But if you just commit to it, I think it's okay, yeah.
And then after we did that, we edited it and they were like, we need to add a voiceover to this. Right? And we scripted it like properly, and they knew there wasn't going to be like any voice until the end. But you know, things change. Like, I mean, it's come back to what you said, like, don't be precious to your ideas even after you shot it. You know, and then we had to change a lot of things, had to change the edit around, write that voiceover so quickly. That was a whole thing.
Even for post, we had to source some things from other countries and stuff like that. So it's pretty intense. It was pretty cool.
It was a hectic thing. And I think we can say this, like, I didn't think there was going to be more.
Yeah, I was also like, because you're so stressful, like you're looking so closely at the project that you like, there was so much stress that went into that, so much like anxiety. I'm probably sure that this is not going to come again or something. Because yourself, like we felt stressed. And then when they're like, okay, the next one is greenlit, or like they'll like rework the next one.
But remember, there was like a couple of weeks. There was like 3 weeks where we didn't hear anything.
Yeah, and then they're like, then they called me up to say, Kaylin, okay, rework these ideas. Like I went into another pitch, like a meeting. And then we were sat in the meeting, then they're like, now repitch these ideas, give us new storyboards and stuff like that. And I was like, oh gosh, here we go again. And then that's, I think, when I called you guys up and we like... Yeah.
And then we did like a proper writer's room. Like for that one, we weren't just randomly
calling up
all at the same place. We were like, we're going to sit together and we're going to write this together in the same room.
We sat pretty late with it, eh? We were like...
Yeah.
I mean, I was walking up and down, and we were all... And Jaco was at the computer typing, and we just throwing him ideas, and he's just writing action lines.
Yeah, and then we swapped around, and then Mark was writing, and you were writing.
Yeah, and we had some cool ideas. Like, and the thing is also, we wrote, like, gave options of some, like, risky ideas, where some stuff is like not necessarily on brand.
Like 2 ideas.
Yeah, 2 ideas.
Yeah.
But I think it's good to just throw it in the mix for when you're pitching, because I mean, I loved the one that you wrote and stuff like that. But that's part of, like you said, not being too precious about it.
Yeah. But even within the ones that they did like, there were like certain things that they didn't like, which we just had to take out and replace. And
yeah. I think you have to have pretty tough skin to be in like advertising. Don't hold on to that.
Yeah.
Like, be adaptable.
But I was not expecting us to get there.
And
just because of that voiceover thing, they wanted to release the first one the week after we shot it, right? And the edit was fine and done and exactly what it said in the script, but they wanted voiceover. Now we had to, coordinate with the actor, and then we had to, record that, and then we had to put it in and send it to color, send it to sound. So it was like another 3 weeks after they wanted to flight it that we actually sent them the final version.
Yeah.
And then after that, there was another 3 weeks of just silence. So it's like,
we were like, okay. And now, I mean, I think maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but I mean, we'll get to that in a bit, but like just to prelude, like that one is now sitting on TV,
Yeah, exactly.
And it's good. Like, the thing is also, was a teacher of mine said when we were rehearsing a play once that the audience doesn't know the script, unless it's like Shakespeare or something, but the audience doesn't know that we put in the voiceover at the end. They're going to see it for the first time. So I think it's also about making that final version, or like adapting it in a way that it seems like, this is the plan the whole way along. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think, but I mean, if you look at it, like that's such a nice thing. Like the audience doesn't know the script because that's why people always get shocked when they hear about things about movies that wasn't in the script. It's always like the best scenes.
Yeah.
I think I mention this almost all the time, like with different forms, when like, and like an actor did something, or like Robert Downey Jr. on the set of Avengers is eating stuff, and people are, like eating stuff off set. Like I think that's just a cool thing that you said. Like as long as it just looks good in the end, you can stress about it, I guess, during the process. But like we said with that voiceovers and stuff, like I think that's so cool what you said. Like the audience doesn't know about those struggles and stuff, so don't be too fearful in that process with client and stuff, and they're making changes and it's not your baby anymore. Because the audience isn't going to know what the original was supposed to be. I think that's such a good way to look at it.
Yeah. And then also by that point, we had learned sort of what the brand wants and how they communicate things. So then for the next ones, like we said, we were a little bit more at ease. So we like a little bit more. So we were a little more cheeky with some of the scripts.
Yeah,
and even, so they did like some of it, so they didn't like others, but it was more towards what they were originally thinking. So the first one, for as good as it turned out, it was like that moment of like, oh, okay, this is what you meant. And then Kaylin, you directed that next one. You were actually going to direct all of them.
Yeah.
We don't have to talk about why you didn't do the others, but just putting it in there. So how did you then feel going into the second one?
Going into the second one, yeah, I think that confidence was definitely there from getting over the first bump of doing your first big brand advert, because we've done things with big brands before, but this is our first like commercial kind of thing.
Yeah, the rest was like more social
media kind of stuff. And the one, I think, like other stuff kind of only played on like one specific channel, but this is like going to be broadcasted like onto like a lot of local stuff. And for me, like getting over that, because I think also going through all that trauma of going like the voiceovers and like learning about that, and not trauma necessarily bad, just trauma necessarily new, and like learning from, I think that like kind of shook me to the point where whatever's coming next, I know I can handle, because I came from like such a hardcore learning process and working with a big brand and being fearful and making mistakes, so that when I went into the next one, and I think I went to the next one, like you said, I think cheeky was the right word. Is even when we wrote the script, I was being cheeky with it. I wanted to have a lot of fun with it. When we wrote the script, and I had a lot of fun with it. Coming up with like even the outfits and shot design. And I also learned that a lot more. I wanted to put a lot more prep work, because I met properly with the DOP. Talked about shot lists. We had like nice meetings and stuff like that. And I think preparation and just confidence, knowing that it was okay to like have mistakes and it's okay to be scared, I think really, really helped the process. I mean, you guys were such a big help as well with the writing of it as well. So I really enjoyed that second process.
Yeah, I think also like there's a bit more confidence there, because like with the first one, working with the famous person, working with the product, and it's like a little bit scary. But then the second one, sort of, I think we realized that like they're used to like working with people who know what they're doing, and we know what we're doing.
Exactly.
So there's no reason for us to be nervous around them just because they're famous.
Exactly. And I kind of also had faith in the work that we put into it, like I think because I was like really, really just like excited, because I was excited about all the stories, but I mean, I was just like happy with how cheeky that second one as well, like that, so much a bit more humor to it, you know what I mean? The first one was really, really good, but the second one had a bit more humor in it. Then I was really excited to kind of shoot that style, because I kind of had a style in mind. And then I also, like you said, I went to that confidence, like, I'm a director, I've like done things before, I know this stuff, and then just being there on set, and then every time I'm about to go through something, I'm like, okay, Jaco, Mark, talk with me, let me know if what I'm saying is okay, if this makes sense, and I think that's was the beautiful process of it. Like I was really, really confident, but I enjoyed it.
So the second one has a lot of more moving parts than the first one does, and then I remember at the beginning of the day you said to me like, I've never directed this many people at the same time before. So what was that like? Because it seemed like you just done it a million times.
No, I think what helped all of that was like just knowing it was going to be heavy. And so even with the actors before, like for those, there's a particular scene that we saw a lot of moving parts, like people walking, one take kind of thing, a lot of actors doing actions like in that same movement. And I think just repetition of it, because I remember on set you were also saying, Caleb, while we're taking a break, just go also with the actor, go through it a bit more, going through. And I think that repetition, and communication, like letting people know your worries. Like I told that actor, I said, this is going to be hectic. We're not going to get it right maybe the first 2 or 3 takes. But by the end of it, we're going to get this down. So just be patient with me. And I think that honesty and just like letting them know, like not trying to like pull face and be like, we're going to get this done. It's the first thing. Thing. I think the second time around, I was also just trying to be a bit more honest with the crew and saying, this is where I feel, this is where I stand. And getting the advice from you guys, saying, is this okay? And all that. I think that helped. I don't think it was, it wasn't the thing of it was easy. I think it was just the repetition and the practice and the honesty and your guys' help along the way. I think that's what really helped the second time around. And also like I found out that the actor or whatever was from my neighborhood, so I also allowed me to bond with him a bit more, and it just broke down that wall of it's just a dude like you, like it's not an actor, it's like someone that just works as hard as you do. So
yeah, that's what I was gonna say as well. Like when you actually speak to these people, it's like, oh yeah, they're just like they're people. They are really sort of down to earth, nice people who are also just doing their job.
Exactly.
And it's just a really good experience.
Yeah, and also something I was going to mention later, but it's relevant now, is with you guys directing it, is also, and then being like, as we were saying before, these like famous people, and there's this like worry that everyone is going to sort of like revere them. And like they've done a lot of noteworthy things, and they're they're famous for a reason, of course, but just on set, that is almost like a worrisome kind of environment. But you guys didn't do that at all, and then it felt like if you include them as like a member of just the team, then they're so willing to do anything. You know what I mean? I think with the first one we kind of got there towards the end of the day, because we're all kind of terrified at the beginning. Towards the end of the first shoot, and with all of the others, with you guys as well, I saw from the directing point of view was like making them like feel like they're just a member of the team, which they were, and then as soon as they feel like that, then they're just willing to do whatever, do it 100 times until you get it right, or feels like you're just like in it as a team together, instead of like you're the famous person. It's like no, we're the filmmakers. You know what I mean? We're all.
No, I think that's a good point. I think also I learned that, like, if you put someone on a pedestal, they're gonna just kind of sense it, and then they're gonna not necessarily like if you put them on a pedestal, they'll kind of have that feeling like, okay, this guy kind of feels like a new guy, like he's kind of scared, like But if you like speak to them like equals, like, okay, this is how I see the scene, and what's your contribution and stuff like that. I think, like you said, that helps a lot. Like, because if you try to, like, if you have that idolizing, fearful mentality of them, it's like they can almost sense it, and then it's almost like the respect levels are not met to the same level, because then they're like, this guy's directing me, but he seems so scared of me. You know what I mean? It's almost like I'm scared to give him back notes and stuff like that, or he's scared to give me notes if I did a bad performance or something like that. So I think it's good to like treat them like crew members, and just have that same respect with everyone on set, and have that clear communication. I think that's that's a small point on that as well.
It reminds me of the film The End of the Tour, which is based on tapes I recorded with David Foster Wallace and another sort of aspiring writer who's like writing for a newspaper or magazine or something. I can't remember all the details, but what I remember is that there's a point in it where it's like set on like, it's like sort of a road trip, and there's an aspiring author who's talking to an author he like really like admires and reveres, but it turns out this author is just like an incredibly down to earth, like humble person. The famous author says to him like, "Oh, so when you're talking up to me, what does that make me doing? Like, am I talking down to you then, just because you're talking up to me?" So it's that kind of thing where if you're actually talking up to someone, then you're putting in the position where they have to talk down to you. Exactly true. Just by the virtue of you doing that. People don't want to be put in that position.
I think that's a good tip though to have. It's just not speak to them like the almighty or something like that. Just speak to them ground level. They're here for a reason, to work hard as you. So but that leads me into how was the first time directing for you? Because I mean that the third advert we did, or the third part of the series, was your first time.
It was not only the first TV ad. It was the first commercial thing, because it's always you, right? Which, I mean, I don't mind that. That's awesome. But it's like, even with the other stuff that we did earlier in the year, the social media stuff, it's always you directing, right? So I'm just there shooting or doing the sound. And then this was the first one that I'm like,
And Jaco's far better than me.
no. No. That was really sort of like scary.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's also like, I just saw what you were doing, and like I said earlier, as well, like what we've been saying, as soon as with the second one, when we were more confident and we knew exactly what was going to happen, and it is us, it's internal. We're editing, we're doing everything.
Sound.
Yeah, we wrote it. It's like more familiar territory. So I feel like I learned from your experience, and it was really fun. It was like really cool speaking to the people, and the person, the talent that I was working with. She's a really like cool person. She's down to just try different things, and if the script needs a little bit reworking, she's just there with ideas. So it was cool. It was a lot of fun. I wanted to do things differently to how you did it. But it was cool. I really enjoyed everything, because the thing is, we also spoke about how it was going to be shot when we wrote it, because you were gonna shoot it. Direct it. So I wanted to stay true to that idea that we had, but I also wanted to do it my way.
and it looked incredible.
Thanks. Mark edited that first one, and I think it looks really cool.
Yeah, but
good job.
Also, I just want to ask, I don't know, the people who know this will probably be like spoilers of who the brand is, but you've been a big fan of the brand for a long time. Also, how did it feel having your name on something you directed that you've been a fan of since you were a kid?
Yeah, I really wish I could say who it was. But I've been, like, this brand is a big brand. I've been using their products for a very long time. In that category, I've only used that brand. So it's really cool, and like it felt really like proud. I don't think I realized on that first shoot. So I was like, after we were done, everything was wrapped. I was back home, and I was like, oh yeah, that was like that was for that brand.
Like, for me, honestly, that moment when we did that and when you did it, I was like, man, I feel like the company is so blessed. I'm so grateful for how well the company is doing. Like that for me, because we've come quite far in the space of a year. So I'm really, really grateful. And especially I think for you, like I was like so thankful because I know how much you love the brand. I was like, I'm glad Jaco got to do this, man. This is incredible.
It was really cool. But I also shot the first one. Like I was the DOP.
Yeah.
So that was also like a cool level,
Well, let's just say yes, okay? We were saying Jaco directed this. Jaco directed two. Jaco edited all of them. He was copywriting all of them. He shot one of them. Like, I think he got more credits on all of them than any other. So I think it's only fitting that the person that loves the brand got to do so much on it. So
thanks. No, it was really
it was really cool. And then
so that was a good shoot. And then that second one that we did, we literally did 3 in a week, which is insane. The fourth one that we did, which is the second one that I directed, there was like a big space between the third one and the third one and the fourth one. So I was preparing a lot, looking at things, thinking about how I wanted to shoot the stuff, because I couldn't get like a proper meeting with the DOP before the shoot, because it was just like a crazy time, a lot of things happening.
Are you talking about a huge gap being like 2 days?
Yes. Compared to the other one.
So compared to the gap between the first and the second one, which was like 3 weeks.
No, the second and the third one. That was just 1 day.
Yeah.
But what it ended up happening is I didn't shortlist any of these ads. I think we've spoken about this. I've been trying out the whole shortlist thing. I think I'm going to go back to using a shortlist just because on the day I have to remember, did I do everything that I wanted to do? So I'm going to go back to writing down shots. But it was really fun. I like the spontaneity of figuring things out there, because even though I did all of the prep and we did location scout, the light was actually completely different, because we went late in the day and the sun was just pouring in there. But then obviously we start early in the morning. There was no sun until 2. So it looks completely different to what I thought it was going to look like, but it's still cool.
I think that's a good point also about our locations. I think we should scout them on the same time if you want to go.
We were obviously renting gear, and I didn't take one of the lights for that shoot because I was like, there's a lot of sun. We don't need more lights. And then we actually could have used that light.
But then also just the through line through all of the adverts. I think Mark being the AD through all four. What was your take from working on all four? What did you see any different styles in directing? Did you see like what was it like the different styles and like being the person that had the same job on all four sets? Like what was your experience like from beginning to end?
Honestly, besides the like famous person, it didn't really feel different to like making a short film, or besides the famous person and the like different level of stress, and sometimes a person from the brand like being there.
That's the one person it's okay to put on a pedestal. Okay.
No, it didn't actually feel that different because I kind of like know how you guys work. I kind of know that when there's going to be like another take. Also, I don't know, the way things are like timed out on like a schedule never works out that way. It just doesn't work out that way unless you want to get like super specific. But then when you get super specific, you can never account for all of these things that are going to happen as well. So when we're sort of all behind or ahead or something, we're never really behind or ahead. It's like hard to like track because there's going to be a shot coming up that's going to take lot longer than another, or I don't know. It was just each one was kind of different. First one was weird because I didn't know. We all didn't know what the hell was going on. I mean, we knew how to like shoot something and direct something and all that side of it, but all of the other kind of other pressures were like strange. It all went super well. I mean, also working with the DOP that we worked with for the last three. I mean, we've worked with him before.
Yeah, twice.
It's almost like you don't have to really... I mean, you have to keep everyone on time and stuff and all that, and make sure everything's going fine. But like, once you work with him together with like a DOP already, like, it just... everything just like gels and works out, and you kind of only really have to step in or start saying things when things are going a little bit off. Because I never feel like I want to just like be too foreboding, because that's what everyone's already stressed. Why are you adding more? So you only kind of really want to step up when things are sort of going a bit left field, which didn't really happen. I think the most stressful thing for me was the third one we were doing was overcast, and it was on the edge of raining at any second, and I was
the whole day.
Every single time I remembered, I was like, at any moment this whole shoot could be over. I was like that the whole day. Not one moment that they're like clear and we're like, that's nice. Morning we got there, it was about to rain. When we left, it was about to rain. When we were moving from one location to the other, it started drizzling a bit. I was like, this is over, it's over. So yeah, that wasn't fun.
But I enjoyed it. I was like, it's not going to rain. Like the whole day, even when the producer came through, he was like, what happens if it's rain? I'm like, it's not going to rain.
It started drizzling like three separate occasions.
I'm like, it's not going to rain, it's fine.
But I feel like those kind of things kind of work out in your favor, because I mean, overcast does also look a little bit better for lighting and stuff like that. So, and yeah, the lighting.
I was actually, cause remember we were hoping for overcast for that shoot, and then you said you were worried that it was going to rain. I was like, that would look awesome if it rained. Because the whole thing is outside, and like
we
did
say that. You're right.
The only thing is our equipment isn't waterproof, so we wouldn't have been able. So we really wouldn't have been able to shoot if it did like rain. But the fact that it was like overcast, it just had the perfect light, and I think it turned out really, really good.
But so then, overall, what's your final thoughts on the whole process? How do you feel? What was the experience like?
I loved it. It was awesome. It's another level of just making movies, because it's like some ad. It's literally a thing trying to sell you another thing. But it's something that I personally would anyways tell people to buy. So I didn't feel bad about that. And it's like, it pays really well. And it was a good time. It's like working with a brand that you've been using is just a nice time. So I do it again.
So which means the next shoot is me on Marvel, basically.
Are you gonna make an ad for Marvel?
A big ad called the movie. I think for me also my experiences were excellent. I think I always believe that like if you're too carefree on set, not like if you let too much things play towards the wind, then it's not gonna be like the best. Like if you're having way too much fun on set, sometimes then the edit's going to be horrible. But I feel like if it's not super stressful, but if like if things feel a bit more tighter on set, and like you're like, okay, just one more, let's just get it one more take. Okay, let's just get it one more take. It's always gonna feel better. So I think that's what I learned a lot, is that just if you know something is a bit hard in the moment and you're just asking for that one more take, or you're just asking, can you do this one more performance, or if you're just a little bit more on the ball with it, then usually in post it pays off for the stresses you had on the day. And I think it really built up my confidence as well. I'm really glad that you also got to direct those two. Like for me, that just made me happy because of your love for the brand and as well. But yeah, for me, it was one of the greatest times. I hope to work with them again. I hope to do bigger things. But yeah.
And that means Loot Pictures in the TV ad space. So if you're a brand, hit us up.
Yeah, put us on loop. And for you, Mark, how was your overall experience? What's your thoughts at the end of the road?
Yeah, it was very good. I was also just thinking about how different it would be if you're just brought on as doing one part of the ad versus us like writing them, directing them, shooting them, and doing the post and all of that stuff. Like, I think what was really nice for us was that we were able to create a similar environment to how we usually work in terms of the people that were on set. You guys directing it, me ADing, DP we've worked with before, other people we've worked with before. Sort of because we knew that it was going to be an environment that we hadn't worked in before, almost without even thinking, we created the same environment that we usually work in, which I think is a good thing to kind of keep in mind, I suppose, if you're going into like something you've never done before. But it's like, you usually make short films or other types of films, but now you're going into the ad space, or might be different. But if you're going into a different space, is what my point is. Try and bring other things that are familiar, so that it's not as strange. It doesn't feel strange, I guess.
Yeah, because I mean, like at the end of the day, they're coming to you for a reason, Well, this time it was different, but I feel we still always, each one of us have a different style, different take that we can bring to the table, no matter what. And I think that's the important thing. And for me as well, I just want to say, final lesson that I learned was communication. Always banter the ideas with like people around you that you're really confident with. Like, always have a good team around you, because that's, for me, was my favorite part, getting to make a commercial with my buddies. That was the best thing. So I think just having a good space and not being too scared of the obstacle.
So yeah, that was it for this episode of Department Spotlight. All about working on TV commercials. Woo, making our own ones. Make your TV commercial. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to smash the like button with both hands. You can either press it once or 3 times, but not twice.
Yeah,
please. Anyways, and then
only odd numbers.
Only odd numbers.
Smash it in odd numbers, please.
And while you're down there, might as well hit subscribe. It's a big red button. You can make it go gray. We make a lot of content on filmmaking. We've got writing videos, editing videos, camera reviews, these podcasts. So feel free to browse the channel. I'm sure you'll find something that you like. If there's anything you want to add, if you have made a TV commercial, leave it down there in the comments. We would love to hear from you. And check out Sup.
Which is now no longer sup.co.za, but
sup.film.
Sup.film.
Also check out the app that's on the Google Play Store. Just search Sup Film, Sup App, all of those different searches will work.
We'll leave a link.
And you'll be able to watch all of our short films and many others on your phone.
It's also open to international people now. So you can upload your short film onto Sup and make some money. But anyways, until next time, go out there, stay safe, and make your movie.